when user creates a file and directory inside the set gid configured folder, it will inherit the group's owner permission. Okay, so the group owner is not retroactive. So let's see what I mean that. So we have a directory here, I made a directory mkdir data. Okay, so because I made the new directory here, right? Okay, now set sgid. So how do you set sgid? You change the permission chmod group plus s and a data. So what will happen is, if you look closely right here, look at this part here. We have read write, and then s execute is set as s. That means any data that is being created in here owned by the group now. Okay, so let's take a look here. And then I'm gonna give them the write option also. I gave them how to write in the directory also. Okay, so let's see here. Let's see here, if you do ls-ld data, okay? So the group is root here, right? So I'm going to change the group to before that. Before that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'm going to clear this. And I'm logged in as T1000, right? Or let me see what I'm logged in as somewhere else. Terminator. Okay, let me exit this here. Exit. Okay, I'm gonna do ID Terminator. Okay, so he is a part of the group. He's a part of group 1000. Okay, and what we need to do is I need to let me see if I could go into this directory here, cd slash data ls. I'm going to say touch file 1. Okay, so Terminator doesn't have permissions here to create any data into this folder here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change, let me clear this for a second here, and I'm going to say group add accounting. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, if you do ls-ld data, I'm going to change this to a accounting group. Okay, so what I'm going to do is chgrp. Okay, okay, so chgrp, and then I'm going to say accounting, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to the data folder. And if I do ls-ld data, you see this group is a part of an accounting group. This folder is part of accounting group. So let's see if the Terminator is still able to see write the file here. So he is not able to write the file here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Terminator to the accounting group. Okay, so what I'm going to do is let's see here, ID okay, so he's a part of our group Terminator and machine. Okay, so let's see here. Folder assignment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do user mod -ag, and then I'm going to put him in accounting group Terminator. And then if I do ID Terminator, what it's going to do is you could see he's part of a accounting group also. Now if he does touch file 1, he is able to let me get out of it and then get back in there. ID Terminator. Okay, let me exit here. And okay, I'm going to do ID Terminator. So he's part of accounting. I'm going to go to CD data, and if I do ls-ld, so the group is a read write. He's able to read write an S too. So he should be able to write there touch file 1. Okay, now he's able to do, if you do ls-l, you see he's the creator, but he's a part of our accounting group, and he's the group ownership is accounting, not Terminator or any other machine, because the data folder belongs to the set GID. That means if the terminator lose the membership of accounting, he will lose this. He won't be able to get back in here and write any data in here or delete any data. Okay, good. So now set okay, so I added set GID. And then I'm going to set GID here, right? So ls hyphen ls-ld, and this part is okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this to a group here. Change the group ownership. Group add accounting, and then I added him to the terminator group. Okay. So now log in as terminator. Okay, so you logged in as terminator, and what you did is you went into the data folder. So when is this going to come in handy here is usually terminator in Linux. A user could be an application. A user could be a user, okay, like you and me, and it could be an application ID too. Okay, so this is going to be come in handy when there is some big database is running and all that, and this will be useful in those scenarios here. Okay, so just so you know, this is an option there. but I'm not using it day in and day out. You could get this, you could get to see this when you're using it as a part of an application or something. Okay, so any questions regarding this? Okay, so this looks good to me. Okay, so what else? Okay, so the next topic is okay, so the next topic is set UID. Okay, so this is set UID. SUID, okay? Alright, I'll explain you what this is. Clear. So now when the set UID is set, let me see here. Okay, for what does SUID means? Uh-oh, I don't want that. Yeah, I don't like that. So let's see what SUID means. SUID. Okay, the command okay, the command inherits the owner's permission, owner's execute permission. Okay, so SUID is used for the files for the execution purpose. Okay, and number two, it inherits the owner's execute permission. Okay, and what does it mean is regular user does not have permissions but still can update the file when executing the command. Okay, so let's see here. Example is cd, or you do ls-l, right? etc password. So if you look at this file doesn't have read, write, or execute permission for any of these people, the user and others. So what is the password file? Password file is a place which stores the user ID. You know what? I think not the password file. Let's see, ls-ld etc shadow. Okay, now we need to see where the shadow file is. Okay, so let me do find -name shadow. Okay, when I'm doing /dev/null, what is happening? It will filter out the error messages on the screen. Okay, so actually the folder that the shadow file is sitting in, we have to let's take a look at the password command here. Okay, actually I'm talking about the password command. So let's go into ls-ld user bin And give me 1 second here. Which ping ls-ld / usr bin ping. Okay, let's do the reset here. Okay, so here's the classic example. Okay, so if I'm a user, right, I'm a user terminator, and I want to do password. I want to change the password. What is the command? PASSWD, and I hit enter, and it's telling me changing the password for the user terminator. Okay, I'm going to put the new password, red hat. Okay, so I'm going to say red hat 1. Okay, I'm going to give it a little complex password here because it's not accepting. So, oh, it's telling me to enter the current password. And it's want a new password. Oh. I'm putting in password, right? It's changing the password. It's telling me to give the current password. And now, oh, come on. I'm going to exit out of here. I'm going to log in as another user here. I'm going to log in as T1000. So I'm logged in as T1000, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the password here. To change the password, you have to type the password command, right? PASSWD. And hit enter. Okay, and now it's asking me for the current password. I'm putting in current password here, and now it's going to accept the new password, right? I'm going to give the new password. Okay, so the password command, as a regular user, he's able to use the password command, but how is that possible here? Okay, so let's take a look at where the password command is. If you need to find where a particular command is sitting, you type which password. If you need to find where is the particular command, like like a silly command like ls, you have to type which ls, and it will give you an information that this is running from here, user bin ls. Okay, if you type which mkdir is running from this place here. When you type mkdir, it's actually running this line. Okay, but when I type which password, it's running from this place here. user bin password folder. Okay, so let's take a look here for the permissions ls-ld. Okay, look closely here. So you have read, write, and then s is lowercase s. That means this will allow anybody in this directory to execute the files inside this directory here. So let's go inside this directory. I'm going to quit this. cd slash user slash bin slash password. Oh, it's a file. Okay, so yeah, I think what I have here is owners execute permission here. So if you look in here, who is the owner here? Owner is the root. Okay, now what is happening here is updating a password. You're running this password here, but which file you're updating? Okay, so let me put this down here. So let me look at the shadow file. Okay, if I do ls-ld and then I'm going to say etc shadow. Okay, look at this here. This is bizarre. This file holds the password here, right? But there is no permissions to it. How is this possible that the password is getting updated here? Okay, so when we run this command, when we run the password command, it will update the shadow file here. So let's see if we are able to go into the password file here. Okay, so it's written in, we are unable to see in here because it's written in binary. Okay, okay, so when we look at the permissions for the password file, look at this here carefully, the execute permissions. The execute permission for password command is password command file is the owner's execute permission. Okay, owner's execute permission for password command file is set to as S. Okay, this will allow the password this will allow the password command execution to regular user. Okay, and who is the regular user in this case? T1000. T1000 is a regular user, right? Okay. He's able to come in and do all the changes he wants and all that, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the execute permissions from this file and see if the user is able to run the command. Okay, so what I'm going to do is for etc user bin password file. So I'm a user, I'm a root. So here even root doesn't have any permissions, right? That doesn't mean anything. Root is a super user. Root would go in anywhere, and root can even without any permissions, root can go and make changes here. So what I'm going to do is, as a root, I'm going to remove the permissions here. So what I'm going to do is chmod let's see, chmod owner is root -s user bin password. And if I do ls-ld, see, now notice here that the SUID is gone. This one doesn't have S in there. Okay, so I explained it already here. Now I'm going to remove the execute permissions here for this particular command. Okay. Now as a user, what is this command doing? Command is updating the shadow file. Shadow file which holds the permission, right? So now if I type password as a regular user, we'll see if he's able to change or not. Okay, so let's see here. If I type password, PASSWD, Okay, I have to exit out of here before I do it. Exit. Let me log in again. T1000. And now if I want to change the password, it says Unix current password. So let me give the good password here. It's not accepting the dictionary password, right? So red hat at ZMPT 01. Okay, this is what I want here. So over here, even though we give the complex password here, it says authentication token manipulation error. That means that this command is unable to update the shadow file. Okay. So I'm logged in as T1000 and it's going to go through all this here. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it back. I'm going to put it back, the permissions back to the password file. So the permissions are back here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this password again. And let's see if it's going to work. Okay, current password. New password. I'm going to paste the new password. Now the user is able to update authentication update successfully. So the new password came into effect. So this is a little bit complex and more advanced. If you nail this in the interview, you'll get the job. There is no question about this. So practice this couple times here. I think let's work on ping. Okay, hold on. Before that, let me copy this here. let's see here. Let's look at the permissions for the ping. Okay, let me see if the regular user is able to use the ping. Okay, I think it's using different here. So different, which folder is that? Bin ping. Okay, so ls hyphen l bin ping. It has the same permissions. It says mount to, so let's take a look at mount command. ls-l /user/bin mount. Okay, I thought the ping has restrictions also, but it's not. So look at it here. The mount command has s in there. Okay, and yeah. All right, I'm not going to go too much into it, but here's the concept here. If you look at the past shadow file here, nobody has a permissions for shadow file here, right? Here, nobody has permissions for the shadow file. Nobody has permissions for the shadow file. Which process is updating the shadow file? The password command is updating the shadow file. Okay, and what does the password command has? Password command has SUID. That means, what does SUID means? It will, SUID is used for files for execution purpose. It inherits the execute permissions of the owner. So if you're executing something and that execution is changing something else, that means it's a SUID in that process here. So let's see here. I'm going to put it in here, okay? Maybe I will find a graphic here. So let's see here. I have a password command here. And the file it updates is this. It updates this file here, shadow file. The password command is /usr/bin/passwd. Okay. So the command is password, and it's updating which file it's updating? Shadow file. So when it's executing, it's updating which file it's updating? /etc shadow file, which doesn't have any permissions in there. It's gonna look ugly. Okay, and then so if S is there, a regular user is able to do the update without any further permissions. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. uh, okay, all right, hopefully that makes sense here. So I'm gonna just copy this and put it in there in the document. So this is just the process here. Hopefully this process gives you a good visual idea of what is happening here. Okay, all right, good. Let's move forward here. So the next item I have is sticky bit. Okay, it's called sticky bit. Sticky bit, that means S uh, sticky bit is I'll tell you what sticky bit means. Okay, so let me clear this. If you do ls-ld/temp, look at the temp folder. The temp folder has full-blown permissions, and on top of that there is a little T you could see here at the end for others. Okay, I'll explain what it means. Sticky bit is a delete protection actually. if you are not the owner of file or root, you cannot delete a file. And this is a folder level permission. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into cd slash temp ls-l. There's some junk file in there. Let me remove that file, okay? cd temp okay, here I'm gonna do touch file 1, and if you do ls-l, you see that this is a temp folder, so you are able to create a file in there. And let's log in as Terminator. ls-l, no password, cd temp, you could do ls-l, and I think you can even read the file too. Okay, and if you do touch file 2, so you are able to go in there and create a file here. But if you have not created the file, you are not able to delete that file. So as a Terminator, if I try to delete the file rm-file1, write protected regular user empty, yes, and it says operation not permitted. So I'm not going to leave there. Actually, we'll set up another folder here and we'll work on that. So the example is the temp folder. So I'm going to create a folder here. There is a folder here, finance, right? I'm going to create a folder mkdir data 2 and hit enter. If I do ls-ld slash data 2, I have some permissions here, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to give full out permissions here, okay? If I have full permissions here, chmod user owner group plus read write execute, okay, slash data 2. If I do ls-ld slash data 2, They have full permissions here. So as a T1000, let me go into data 2, clear, nothing is there. I'm going to type touch file 1. Okay, and now I'm going to go into as a terminator, cd slash data 2 clear IC ls-l. Okay, and the file is read write. Okay, I don't have execute permission here, but I'm going to create a file here, touch file 2 ls-l. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to delete this file here, which is created by T1000. rm-rf. So as a terminator, I'm able to delete somebody else's file, and here as T1000, I'm going to do rm-rf and then file 2. So there is nothing left here. So this is kind of not acceptable here. Okay, so T1000 so anybody is able to delete any files. Okay, so this is not acceptable here. This is not acceptable here. Okay, so this is a problem. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the folder permissions as such that only they are able to delete it. Root has full permissions. Root could do anything. We're not worried about root. We are worried about the regular users here. So what I'm going to do is chmod owners others plus T. That means it will put a sticky bit on it. And I'm going to say data 2. Okay, if you do ls-ld data 2 and you see the permissions, you have a T added in there at the end. Okay, so okay, so you take a closer look here. The letter T is added in there. Okay, so now so here I'm gonna say touch X file 1, touch X file 1. Okay, I do this. And I'm a terminator now. I do ls rm hyphen rf x file 1. This is operation not permitted. Okay, this is it, nothing more than that. It's just a delete protection. So you will get a request now and then to add a sticky pit. That's all you need to do is run this command here, chmod o plus t, and then the name of the folder. Okay, all right, so let's take a 2 or 3 minute break, and let me get some water and then we'll continue. All right, the break starts now. So the next topic is file access control. It's called fackles. All right, this is very important here. Okay, so this is called file access control list, short for FACL. Give me 1 second here. Okay, I'm not worried about that. So let's do this here. I'm going to move root on the top and then move the terminator on the bottom here. Okay, so let me create a directory here. mkls. Okay, we're going to work with the data folder. Okay, so if I do ls hyphen ld data 2, let's work with data folder only. Now it's going to create problems here. So I'm going to create mkdir, the folder name. What should I give the folder name? Okay, bank /bank. Okay, and if I do ls-ld bank, you have these permissions here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a command get facle, get file access control list, and I'm going to type bank. So it gives the information here. File name is bank, owner is root, group is root, and basically the same permissions here: read, write, execute, read, write, and others here. So what I'm going to do here is let me see if I go in here, clear cd/bank. So look at this here. Others and group, they don't have write permissions here. So if I do touch file 1, so I don't have permissions here. Okay, this is a expected denial. Why are we getting denied here? Because others, the group and others don't have the right permissions here, right? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is instead of now what I have to do is you could give the permission to one specific user. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to permission to only terminator for that specific folder here. Okay, so how am I going to do that? you do set FACL, facal, hyphen M. Hold on, let me type man facal. Okay, what is M for? M for modify. Okay. Set facal hyphen M modify, and then what are we modifying? We are modifying the user. I'm going to type U and then the colon, and which user you want to modify? Terminator. No, T1000. Okay, and what kind of permission you want to give him? You give him read, write, execute. And which folder is this? Bank. And I'll hit enter. And then you type get facal slash bank. So you see here that what has changed here. Let's compare it here. So the file is bank, owner and group. This nothing has changed here, okay? And then the user is read, write, execute. Remember, user in this case is owner. And here it added the specific user T1000 to read, write, and execute here. And then he's the outside user is a part of group here. He is not a owner user. He is a group other user. But which user is this? The user ID T1000 has a read write access only. Nobody else has that. So if I do touch file 1, he is able to write now. But if you do ls-ld, ls-ld bank, okay, you do see a plus sign in here, that this is what it represents as. It is facals are set. File access control list is set. Okay, any questions so far?
So, Mr. Zafar, when we're creating everything in the like CIL, will someone on the other end, I guess like the GUI, will they be able to see everything that we've done?
It all depends on permissions here. I heard you, but you're low. But I know what you're talking about. So it depends. So if somebody has a read and execute permission, they are able to, but they are not able to write to the folder. Remember, execute permission, that doesn't mean for the folder, that doesn't mean he is able to read anything. So Terminator has created the file here. If you do ls-l, the file is T1000 is able to read and write, and then others who is not T1000, they are able to read and write to the file here. They cannot execute this file. And others, I'm sorry, this is group. Anybody who belongs in the T1000 group are able to read and write to this file here. And then only people who are not in other group. So if the Terminator comes here, he is able to read only read this file. He is not able to write to that file. He is not able to execute that file. So if I go like vi file 1 and I go like this is this is line 1 and I copy and I'll save and exit here. Okay, now let's come in here as a terminator. CD bank. Terminator is able to go into bank here because bank folder has a execute permission. Execute permissions for the folder means think of a folder as a getting as a room. So anybody is able to get inside the room here. Okay, and then after you get inside the room, the other permissions apply if you are able to do anything. So if you do ls hyphen l ls hyphen l, so anybody so here terminator is able to read, he's not able to edit or execute this file here. So if you do cat file 1, he is able to read it, but he's not able to write to it. If you do vi file 1 and then it says down on the bottom, he says read only. If you try to do I and if you do something and if you do save and exit, it says the operation is not valid, you are not able to do it.
Okay. So on, like, I guess on the other side of it, like the GUI side of it, it'll tell them the same thing. Like it'll give them like error messages stating that they can't write in the file.
If the GID is set,
Like if the GUI, like I guess on the other side of it, because you know Linux is on the back end of it. So on the other side of it, the user won't be able to write in the file.
yeah, the user is not able to write to the file because you have to look here. Sometimes it's getting confusing here. So at this moment, which is the terminator's permissions right now?
Read and write.
No,
Or read only.
Read only.
Read only.
This terminator is user now. This is the group. If we put terminator in the group 1000, then he is able to write to.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean the more practice you do, the better it gets here.
Mm-hmm. But with Terminator wouldn't be using Linux as well, though, right?
Anybody, if they are on the system user, then they are Linux users. Yeah.
But if they're not, then what would they be using?
No, if they don't have an ID, no chance they could break it.
Uh,
By the way, another name of Linux is Unbreakable Linux. Okay, the name says it's everything. Unbreakable Linux. That's how secure the Linux is. But if you are a root user, you could break anything here. I mean, believe me, this is very secure. Just imagine the nuclear submarines, the nuclear weapons, NASA, satellites, GPS. All this is running on Linux, guys. It's not Windows has no chance. Only Linux. I'm telling you, even the SpaceX, all their mission controls and all those, they are running Linux here. Also, see, Unbreakable Linux. There's another word here. It's called Unbreakable Linux.
so when we set that command for them to not be able to write, for the user, what does it look like?
For user, they have a read permissions here, right? So you could even go up until here, read only. It's down on the bottom. It says read only.
Yeah.
Yeah, you won't be able to write to it.
It's not going to look like this, though, right? It's going to look like something else.
Yeah, I mean, if they are able to cat and copy to their file, then they become a file owner. It becomes a totally different file.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, here, what you really have to do is you have to use the logic and logic and how the Linux is working here. But here's the thing here. I mean, you're learning Linux here, and for any other profession like developer and all this, you need to have these skills here. Like if you're developing a code, you need to know how the permissions are going to work and all that, because all those things are interdependent and uh, how do I say that? Everything is connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how it works here. Suppose if the file, if you want to deny somebody access, all you have to do is just change the permissions to the file. Then they will have access to the data. So these boot permissions, they have read write. I mean, read and execute permissions, right? If it was have a, a disk mounted to the boot or any other folder like data, and you want to give permission to HDB somebody, all you have to do is give permission to the folder. Then they'll automatically have permission to the disk. Okay, you could also set permissions on an individual file. Okay, so now that you are a group owner, you could give the permission to individual file here. Uh, what you could do is you could do set facle hyphen m. Now you're doing it as a T1000 because you're the owner of the file. And then you could do user colon terminator. And then you do read write execute permission, and then you give the file one. So you do get facle file one, and you see user terminator has full rights there. He could go in there and now delete it too. So let me quit and exit, and down on the bottom it doesn't say this is line 1 by terminator. Okay, there you go. And if you do ls-l, you see the file itself has a plus sign on it. Why is the terminator T1000 is able to do the faculties? Because he's the owner. He wouldn't be able to do it if he's not the owner. If he's not here, he wouldn't be able to do that. Okay, and okay. Okay, so now I think we are out of time. I will catch up tomorrow. Okay, so tomorrow uh, we'll go through. Yeah, the permissions are not done yet. So permissions. I'm gonna officially show you the chmod and all those tomorrow. We've been using it, but I haven't been able to change show you officially, right? Tomorrow we'll go through the changing the permissions and age and all that. Okay, so are we okay? Okay, I'm gonna stop here and then I'm gonna put a list in here before tomorrow that we are gonna go look and see how the permissions are working, and then we'll move forward here. Okay. All right. So as soon as I'm done, I'm gonna upload this video, and then if you have any questions, put it in the chat. Okay. All right. Everybody have a good day.
Thanks, Mrs. Zafar.
All right. Sure.